Hi, my name is Josh Udy. I'm the Elementary Mathematics Curriculum Manager for the Houston Independent School District. In this video, I'll be talking about how to determine the measure of an unknown angle when given two non-overlapping adjacent angles and either one or both of those angle measures are known. An important part of this concept is that students need to be familiar with the vocabulary terms complementary and supplementary, and they need to know what both of these terms mean. It's important for you to understand that these terms can just be told to students. They can just be told. A complementary angle is when two angles come together and form a 90-degree or right angle. Tell them that. Have that be something that they record and write down. They simply need to memorize that complementary means two angles come together and form a 90-degree angle. Supplementary, on the other hand, is when two angles come together to form a straight line or a 180-degree angle. The way that I remember this is that C comes before S in the alphabet, and 90 comes before 180. So I know that C, complementary, C connects to 90 degrees, so complementary angles add up to 90 degrees, whereas S comes second, so supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. It's also important that students understand that the word complement and supplement can also be used when referring to two angles forming either a complementary pair or a supplementary pair. I can give you one angle and say, so what is its complement? Or give you an angle and say, what is its supplement? And the student would need to know that that means, what is the other angle that adds up to form either the 180-degree angle if it's supplementary or the 90-degree angle if it's complementary. In this video, I'll be going through some examples where we will look at complementary and supplementary angles, as well as some examples where we're just looking at two non-overlapping adjacent angles. We know the measure of one or both, and we're asked to find the measure of an unknown angle. For the first example, I have angle ABC drawn here, and the question might state angle ABC is a 90-degree angle. So if I know that angle ABC is 90 degrees, then that means I know if there is a ray drawn from B to some other point. So let's say we have a ray here where ray BD intersects angle ABC. I now see that angle ABD and angle DBC are adjacent, non-overlapping angles, and they're also complementary because ray BD intersected this perpendicular or right angle, okay? So usually when students are assessed on this, they'll be given one of these two angle measures. So I'm actually going to use my protractor here. Students don't necessarily have to do this, but I'm just going to measure what is angle CBD using my protractor, and I get that it's 52 degrees. So I'll write in here 52 degrees. So I know that angle DBC is 52 degrees. A test question, or what you can pose to your students, would be, what is the measure of angle ABD? They would be told angle ABC is a 90-degree angle. And we know that DBC and ABD are complementary. So what is the measure of angle ABD? And the students would simply need to be able to understand, okay, if ABC is 90 degrees, then this angle plus something must equal 90 degrees. So they can subtract to figure it out, and they come up with 38 degrees. So then they know angle ABD is 38 degrees. Students could just be told angle ABD and angle DBC are complementary. What is the measure of angle ABD? when they're given the 52 degrees. And then from there, they have to remember, okay, complementary means 90 degrees, so I just need to subtract, and I can figure that out, or I can count up from 52 to 90, however, which way they want to do it. So that's pretty much every way they could be asked a question about a complementary angle. For supplementary angles, students are normally just given 3 points on a straight line. So I know that angle XYZ forms a straight line, so that means it has a measure of 180 degrees. And if some ray is drawn out from point Y, coming up here, and let's call that point W, now I see that angle XYW and angle WYZ are supplementary because these two angles together form a straight line. So just like we did with complementary, we can now do with supplementary. If I know the measure of one of these angles, so I'll use my protractor real quick and measure, angle WYZ is 120 degrees, then I can figure out what angle XYW is. The students might be asked, okay, if angle WYZ has a measure of 120 degrees, and its supplement is angle XYW, what is the measure of angle XYW? And they might have to use that key word, supplement means that the two angles that are non-overlapping and adjacent form together a 180 degree angle. So then they could simply just subtract, and 180 subtract 120 is 60 degrees. So then they can determine that angle XYW is 60 degrees, okay? So the other example that I want to show is when students are given angle RST, for example, and they're told it has a measure of 75 degrees. Angle RSU, what is its measure? They're shown angle UST has a measure of 32 degrees. And they would need to be able to simply subtract to determine that angle RSU has a measure of 75, subtract 32, 43 degrees. So in all of these examples, I showed subtraction for the most part, but students could also just simply be given this. Angle RSU is 43 degrees and angle UST is 32 degrees. And they could add the two angles together and be asked, what is RST? So students can be asked to add two non-overlapping adjacent angles to determine the combined measure, or they can be given the combined measure and then asked to subtract in order to find an unknown, one of the unknown in the two adjacent angles. I hope that this video helps as you continue working with your students on determining an unknown angle when given two adjacent non-overlapping angles.